it does seem like there is an entire bubble that has burst from Hollywood, guys. So Ridley Scott recently gave this really funny interview that made me laugh a lot. He's the creator of Alien, Thelma and Louise, Gladiator, G.I. Jane, Black Hawk Down, American Gangster, The Martian, etc. You guys know who Ridley Scott is. And he basically said that Hollywood is drowning in mediocrity, and he called most modern movies shit. His words, not mine. And he basically said that the movies being made today are saved by digital effects, but they don't have something great on paper first. Basically calling out that the scripts in Hollywood are lacking and they're not starting from great material. We know this to be kind of true after a fact now, given the fact that what we saw recently was that Avengers Doomsday went into production without a final script even being done. They were relying heavily from the get-go with the idea that the special effects and the draw of the Marvel name was what was going to carry this movie. He actually says, I started watching my own movies and actually they're pretty good. I posted, I was like, that's kind of based. Like most artists are like, oh, I can't watch my own work. I'm that way. Like I do not listen back or watch back anything that I do on this podcast. And most artists in Hollywood, from what I've seen, is like, they're like, look, the second I get done with the movie, I don't watch it again. I don't even like going to the premieres. And Channing Tatum even said something similar recently. He said that basically actors in Hollywood are being incentivized to make shitty movies because of the payday, and they're kind of spooked away from doing the stuff that actually feels like good art because there's no money in it anymore, and the economy in Hollywood is shrinking. So this is what Ridley Scott said. He said, the quantity of movies that are made today, literally globally, millions, not thousands, but millions, and most of them are shit. I think a lot of films today are saved and made more expensive by digital effects, because what they haven't got is a great thing on paper first. He continued, get it on paper. Later on in the discussion, he said that, well, actually right now I'm finding mediocrity. We're drowning in mediocrity. So what I do, it's a horrible thing, but I've started to watch my own movies and actually they're pretty good and they don't age. So this is what we've got Ridley Scott saying about the industry. And then we've also found out that, unfortunately for the industry, basically what has happened is that there was a bubble that formed around 2022 when all of these streaming services were looking to bolster their numbers with incredibly large new libraries of content. It's one of the reasons Netflix is being canceled right now by so many people, because they started making all of this activist animation content that was being produced by people who had no experience in the industry. We talked on Friday about Dead End Paranormal Park, which was created by somebody who had an activist agenda, who had no credits to his name. And what we saw was that was basically a 2022 boom that turned into a bubble that burst like the dot-com bubble. There are only about 100,000 jobs in Los Angeles right now attached to the entertainment industry. There was 142,000 in 2022. And that is like a shrinking number of 30% in just 2 years. There's 30% fewer projects being made with budgets of $40 million or more. And look, Clownfish TV did an entire video today. I think Neon did an entire video today on the shrinking of the industry and how they had been, basically predicting this for years, specifically related to the animation industry, and that no matter how bad they tell you it is now, it's actually worse because they don't want to admit how bad things have gotten there. And one of the things they're terrified of is they're terrified that these pro-level jobs are gone, that people are going to be pivoting to just making YouTube content and social media content, and nobody's going to have a market anymore for big budget movies. And then you think about what it costs to live in the state of California alone. One of my critiques that I have is like, look, you can critique the tax credits that they give. Gavin Newsom tried to double the tax credits recently to try and compete with the likes of Chicago or Atlanta or British Columbia or even, the UK, where a lot of the movies have moved just to produce things. But even if you do that, the below the line workers can't afford to live there. Like, how do you expect to keep an economy going when when the biggest sell you have in the state of California is the entertainment industry? You've got Silicon Valley, you've got tech, and you've got the entertainment industry. You've got 100,000 jobs that people are rabidly fighting over, and a lot of people who have been working for decades are suddenly just out of work, and they've got nowhere to go, and their skill set has been used for 20, 30 years. These are people with the resume, the experience, and if those people can't get jobs, why would you kind of make it seem like things aren't as bad as they are? Because that's what people predicted. They predicted the strike in 2023 was going to kill your industry, that these companies were going to just start biding their time until they can start, basically factoring people out. And they're already doing that with AI. One of the things we covered last week, all of the Tilly Norwood stuff, is that these companies with strict NDAs are already making AI-assisted content. They're going to limit the amount of people on each of these sets. These jobs are going to shrink more and more every year. And then you wonder, in an industry that is that tenuous, why I have to read headlines like this. Roughly 30 Paramount Skydance employees sent a letter to the office of CEO David Ellison on September 17th, slamming the company for aligning with the genocide in Gaza and of the Palestinian people. After 2 weeks without receiving a response, the group followed up on October 1st with a list of demands.
Nice.
With a list of demands,
Great.
including a call from Paramount to donate $1 million to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund in order to match its 2023 donation of the same amount to humanitarian relief efforts in Israel. A part of the letter reads, as the parent company of a massive news organization in CBS, it is incredibly telling that Paramount chooses to say nothing as hundreds of journalists are targeted and murdered with impunity in Gaza, while simultaneously publicly chastising film workers for whom they would like to work with based on shared values. Okay, here's the thing, guys. These companies have the pick of the litter. They can take the best of the best. There is very, very few people in the industry that truly stand out. There's even fewer jobs, and there's even fewer companies. It is consolidated down to just a few brands. Remember, Skydance and Paramount were separate companies not that long ago. There's all this talk about how Amazon or Netflix wants to buy Warner Brothers. Consolidation keeps happening. The jobs keep shrinking. There's less and less work for everyone. How is it that you can also afford to send out memos to your boss with a list of demands? That is insane.
The idea that they're in a position to do that, like that is peak, that is a peak of privilege, to think that I'm in a position where I can tell my boss and tell the company that I work for and such, you have to do these things because they are according to my sensibilities. Ridiculous.
The other thing that I thought was crazy, like, it doesn't stop you from sending your individual check. You can still do that, right? You can still direct your extra money. I don't know if there's even extra money to be had in that industry for the below the line workers. Remember,
they can go protest. They can go do whatever they want. They're not prevented in any way.
Everybody's talking about Tilly Norwood and the actors that are going to suffer. Oh me, oh my, the actors are going to be out of work. No, it's going to affect everyone below the line as well. Like I said, when you create a Tilly Norwood, you don't just replace an actress. You replace a hairdresser. You replace a makeup artist. You replace a wardrobe artist. You replace a whole bunch of jobs who interface with that actor. And that's just one aspect of the filmmaking process, right? So the level of privilege from people who think that they can both complain about the state of the industry, but then get mad when you say it as well because they don't want you to be right because, oh my gosh, you don't have the right political opinions. That's insane. And these people are insane. And it's one of the reasons why, look, people already have a bad taste in their mouths when it comes to the actors. They already look at the actors as the height of disconnected from reality, the height of privilege, the ones who tell you how to think, feel, and act while then asking you to then come out and support their work. They can simultaneously tell you, or half the country, I guess, that they're bad people while then blaming them when they don't come out to see their movies. okay? You are part of an industry that is already a luxury and not a necessity. So you should be doing everything in your power to ingratiate yourself to the public, whose job it is to be able to decide for themselves whether they want to spend money on your garbage or not. And look, I am not the person who's going to tell you that things are just crap all the time in Hollywood. As of late, there have been more than a few shows that I'm really, really enjoying. Okay, I'm not all doom and gloom. I've talked about Hotel Costiera. I've talked about Terminalist Dark Wolf. I've talked about.
I just started watching. Sarah and I just started watching Terminalist, not Dark Wolf. Terminalist, because we haven't seen the old one yet.
Thoughts?
So far, it's cool.
Yeah,
but it's only one season, right? It's just one thing.
Season 2 just finished production, so that's of original Terminalist. Okay, so we got that. We've got High Potential. We've got all sorts of shows that I'm really, really enjoying. I'm not here to tell you that it's all doom and gloom for the consumer. I'm here to tell you that the amount of companies making these products has shrunk. The amount of workers that are going to be needed to make these products is going to continue to shrink. And the people within the industry need to start to understand that they do not always have a say in how things work, and the level of privilege to demand something from your company without understanding that the jobs are shrinking is insane. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.